Begin here, before the day asks anything of you. Listen to these words, written almost 2,000 years ago by a Roman emperor, alone with his thoughts at the edge of morning. Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil. But I, who have seen the nature of the good, that it is beautiful, and of the bad, that it is ugly, and the nature of him who does wrong, that it is akin to me, not only of the same blood or seed, but that it participates in the same intelligence and the same portion of the divinity. I can neither be injured by any of them, for no one can fix on me what is ugly, nor can I be angry with my kinsman, nor hate him. That is from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 2, in the translation of George Long. Notice what he is doing. This is not a king on a throne dispensing orders. This is a man, alone, preparing his own mind for the hours ahead before a single one of them arrives. He knows the day will bring difficulty. He knows it will bring people who test his patience, work that resists his effort, news he did not want. And rather than pretend otherwise, rather than hope the day will be gentle, he meets it in advance. He rehearses his response while the house is still quiet. That is what this hour is for. You have given yourself a rare and valuable thing this morning, a space before the noise. Most people wake and immediately reach for the day, the phone, the inbox, the list of everything undone. They are reacting before they are even fully awake, handing the controls of their mind to whatever shouts loudest. You are doing something different. You are sitting at the threshold of the day and deciding who you will be in it before it decides for you. Over the next hour, we will walk through 10 meditations drawn from the great Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire and still wrote to himself by lamplight; Seneca, who advised emperors and counted his days with unflinching honesty; and Epictetus, born a slave, who became one of the freest minds the world has known. Each of them faced mornings heavier than most of ours will ever be, and each of them left us words that still work, not as decoration, not as comfort, but as tools. These are not meditations to make you drift off. This is not a lullaby. This is the opposite. We are here to wake the part of you that thinks clearly, that chooses deliberately, that meets the world with a steady eye. By the time the sun is fully up and this hour is done, you will not be hoping for a good day. You will be ready for whatever day arrives, which is a far stronger thing. So let me make you a simple promise for the next 60 minutes. We will not rush. We will take each idea slowly enough that it can actually settle into you, rather than passing through like everything else. You do not need to memorize anything. You do not need to take notes. You only need to listen and to let each thought do its quiet work. Wherever you are, sitting up in bed, standing at a window, holding the first warm cup of the morning, walking in the early light, let your shoulders drop just slightly. Let the breath you are holding go. There is nothing to chase yet. The day has not started. You are early, and being early is its own kind of power. Take one slow breath now, in through the nose gently, and out, unhurried, and again. Breathe in the cool of the morning, and let it go. We begin. Meditations Round 1. The day is enough. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Book 4 of the Meditations, confine thyself to the present. 3 words. He returns to that idea again and again across his private notebook, but here he strips it down to almost nothing, as if reminding himself of something he keeps forgetting. Confine thyself to the present. Not the year, not the week, not the towering pile of all the things you must eventually do. Just this, the day in front of you, and within the day, this hour, and within the hour, this single task. Think for a moment about how the mind behaves when it first wakes. Before your feet touch the floor, it has often already run ahead, into the meeting that worries you, the conversation you are dreading, the long list of obligations stacked like bricks on your chest. You haven't lived a single minute of the day yet, and already you are carrying all of it at once. No wonder mornings can feel heavy. You are trying to lift the whole week before breakfast. But the day does not arrive all at once. It arrives one moment at a time, in a single unbroken line, and you only ever have to meet the moment you are actually in. The Stoics understood that almost all of our suffering comes from living in time we are not in, dragging the regrets of yesterday and the fears of tomorrow into a present that, examined honestly, is usually manageable. Right now, in this actual moment, you are breathing. You are warm. You are safe enough to be listening to this. The catastrophe your mind was rehearsing is not here. It may never come. And if it does, you will meet it then, with the strength of that moment, not the borrowed weakness of this one. There is an old phrase the Stoics loved that later thinkers named amor fati, the love of one's fate. It does not mean wanting bad things to happen. It means meeting whatever the day actually brings, as though you had chosen it, working with the raw material of the real instead of grieving for the day you imagined. The morning you have is the only morning there is. Loving it does not mean pretending it is perfect. It means refusing to waste it, wishing it were different. So here is how you carry this into the hours ahead. When you notice your mind sprinting toward the whole of the day, toward everything all at once, gently bring it back to the single next thing. Not the project, the next email. Not the marathon, the next step out the door. Not the whole difficult conversation, the next honest sentence. Ask yourself a simple question whenever the weight returns. What does this moment actually require of me? Almost always, the answer is small, specific, and possible. The crushing weight was never the moment. It was the imagined sum of 1,000 moments you were trying to live before they came. Consider how nature itself works this way, because the Stoics took their cues from nature in everything. The sun does not rise for the whole year at once. It rises for one day, and then it sets, and the next day it rises again. The river does not arrive all at once. It flows past a single point one moment at a time. A tree does not grow its whole height in an afternoon. It puts out one ring, one season, one patient inch. Everything that endures by meeting time in pieces. Only the anxious human mind insists on trying to swallow the future whole, and then wonders why it feels overwhelmed. You are not built to carry tomorrow. You are built, exactly like the river and the tree, to meet this day and no more. And in that limitation is a kind of mercy you have probably been refusing. The day is enough. It is exactly the right size. It was always meant to be lived one piece at a time, and you have been given the only piece you need. This one. Carry this with you. I only have to meet this day, and only one moment of it at a time. Let that settle. Take a slow breath, and as you breathe out, set down everything that does not belong to this moment. Just this morning. Just this breath. Good. Meditation 2. What is yours and what is not? Of all the ideas the Stoics gave us, none is more useful at the start of a day than this one. Epictetus opens his handbook, the Enchiridion, with it, in the translation of George Long. Of things some are in our power, and others are not. In our power are opinion, movement towards a thing, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own acts. Not in our power are the body, property, reputation, offices, and in a word, whatever are not our own acts. Epictetus was born into slavery. He knew, more concretely than most of us ever will, what it is to have almost nothing in your power. His body was not his own. His freedom was not his own. And out of that life, he drew the great dividing line that became the foundation of Stoic peace. There are things you control, and there are things you do not. And nearly all human misery comes from confusing the two. Look honestly at what you actually command. You command your judgments, the meaning you assign to events. You command your intentions, what you reach toward, and what you refuse. You command your effort, whether you show up and how fully. You command your response to whatever lands on you. That is a short list, but notice that everything on it is genuinely, completely yours. No one can take your judgment from you without your consent. No traffic, no weather, no rude stranger, no piece of bad news can reach inside and force your response. And then look at the long list of what is not yours. The weather this morning, whether the train is late, what your colleague decides to do, whether other people approve of you, like you, agree with you. The outcome of the project, in the end, depends on 1,000 factors you will never touch. Your own body, finally. It can be strong or it can fail. And much of that is simply not in your hands. These things are not yours to control. They never were. The moment you accept that fully, an enormous and exhausting burden quietly lifts. You have been trying to carry the whole world. You were only ever responsible for your own corner of it. This is not resignation. This is precision. The Stoic does not stop acting. He acts harder, because he is no longer wasting his strength on things that cannot move. He pours his full effort into what is his, the work, the intention, the response. And then he releases his grip on the result, because the result was never his to hold. He aims the arrow with total care. Whether the wind takes it is not up to him. So here is the practice for today. Sometime this morning, something will not go the way you want. Someone will be difficult, or a plan will break, or a delay will steal your time. In that moment, ask one question. Is this in my power or not? If it is your judgment, your effort, your next move, then act, fully and without complaint. And if it is not, if it is someone else's choice, or the simple friction of the world, then let your hands open. Do what you can, and refuse to suffer over the rest. You will find again and again that the thing tormenting you was something you were never holding in the first place. Freedom, Epictetus taught, is not getting everything you want. Freedom is wanting only what is actually up to you. A person who needs the world to cooperate is a hostage to everything. A person who needs only to act well is free in any circumstance the day can produce. Carry this with you. I will pour myself into what is mine to do and release what was never mine to control. Pause here for just a moment. Breathe in slowly, and as you breathe out, feel where you are gripping something you cannot hold, and let that hand open. Good. Meditation. 3. Respond. Don't react. There is a single sentence in the Meditations that may be the most practical thing Marcus Aurelius ever wrote down. Book 8 in the George Long translation. If thou art pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs thee, but thy own judgment about it. And it is in thy power to wipe out this judgment now. Sit with the weight of that. It is not the thing that disturbs you. It is your judgment about the thing. And the judgment, this is the part that changes everything, is yours, which means it can be changed. Between every event in your life and your response to it, there is a space. It is small, often less than a second, and most of the time we move through it so fast we do not even notice it is there. Something happens, A sharp word, a sudden problem, a message that lands wrong, and the reaction fires before we have decided anything. Anger, defensiveness, the racing heart, the cutting reply. It feels automatic, as if the event reached in and pulled the response out of us directly. But it did not. In that small space, a judgment was made. This is bad. This is an attack. This must not be happening. The feeling followed the judgment. And the judgment was a choice, made so quickly it disguised itself as fate. The Stoics spent their lives learning to widen that space, to notice the moment between what happens and what they do about it, and to step into that moment deliberately, to respond as a free person rather than react like a struck bell that has no say in the sound it makes. This is perhaps the single greatest skill a human being can develop, because the events of a day will never stop coming, and they will rarely ask your permission. What you can govern is the space between the event and yourself. A reaction is something that happens to you. A response is something you do. The reaction belongs to the event. The response belongs to you. And the whole art of a steady life lives in slowly shifting your weight from the first to the second, from being something the world acts upon to being someone who meets the world on his own terms. Here is how you practice it today. The next time something lands hard, and something will, try to catch the half second before you react. You may only catch it after you have already reacted at first. That is fine. Noticing it later still trains the noticing. But when you can, find that small gap and put one breath inside it. One breath before the word, before the reply, before the decision. In that single breath, remember Marcus. It is not the thing. It is my judgment about the thing, and the judgment is mine. Then choose. You will be astonished how often the reply you would have fired off in the first instant is not the reply you actually want to give. It helps to remember that the reaction always feels justified in the instant. That is the trap of it. When the sharp word lands, the anger does not announce itself as a choice. It announces itself as the obvious, correct, inevitable response to an outrage. Of course I am angry. Look what they did. But the Stoics notice that two people can meet the very same event and respond in completely different ways. One is destroyed by an insult, another barely registers it. One is undone by a delay, another uses the time to think. If the event itself contained the disturbance, it would affect everyone identically, like fire burning every hand it touches. It does not. The disturbance was added by the judgment, which means it can be subtracted by a different one. This is not a denial of your feelings. It is the discovery that you have more authorship over them than you were taught to believe. You cannot stop the day from striking you. You can stop the day from choosing the sound you make. That space, that one breath of space, is where your whole character lives. Carry this with you. Between what happens and what I do, there is a space. And in that space, I am free. Let us rest there for a moment. Breathe in and find the space. Breathe out and stand calmly inside it. There is no hurry to react to anything. Good. Meditation 4. The view from above. Marcus Aurelius had a habit of lifting himself in his mind far above his own life to see it in its true proportions. He wrote it down many times. Here is one of the clearest, from Book 9, in the George Long translation. Think of the universal substance, of which thou hast a very small portion, and of universal time, of which a short and indivisible interval has been assigned to thee, and of that which is fixed by destiny, and how small a part of it thou art. It sounds at first like it should make a person feel small in the bad way, diminished, insignificant. But notice that this is the same man who governed an empire, and he used this thought not to crush himself, but to free himself. Because when you rise high enough above your own life, something strange and useful happens to the things that were pressing on you. They shrink to their real size. Try it now, in the imagination, the way he did. Lift up, gently, from wherever you are sitting. See the room from above, the roof of the building, the street. Keep rising. See your whole town laid out, the roads like threads, the people too small to make out. Keep going. See the country, the curve of the coastline, the weather moving across it in great slow systems that do not know your name. Now the whole earth, blue and turning, a single bright stone in an enormous dark. And all the things that felt so urgent this morning, the email you are dreading, the comment that stung, the worry that woke you, are down there somewhere, far too small to see at all. This is not a trick to make your life feel meaningless. It is a tool to restore your sense of scale, which stress quietly destroys. When we are inside a problem, it fills the entire sky. It becomes the only thing. The view from above does not deny that the problem is real. It simply puts it back among all the other real things. The vastness of time, the brief shared lives of everyone who has ever worried at dawn, and then gone on to live their day anyway. Marcus reminded himself constantly how many people had stood exactly where he stood, felt exactly what he felt, and were now gone, their great urgencies entirely forgotten. Not to despair, but to loosen the grip of the moment's panic and to act with a lighter, clearer hand. There is a peculiar relief in remembering you are small. The whole weight of the world is not actually resting on your shoulders. You are one person, with one day, doing what one person can. That is not a failure. That is simply the truth, and the truth is easier to carry than the inflated importance our anxious minds assign to everything. So today, when a problem starts to fill the whole sky, take the view from above. Just for a moment, rise up and look down and ask, in the scale of my whole life, will this matter in a year? In the scale of all the lives that have ever been lived, how large is this really? You will often find that the thing crushing you is genuinely small, and that seeing it small does not make you careless. It makes you calm. From up there, you can come back down and handle it with the steadiness of someone who knows its true size. Carry this with you. Seen from high enough, almost everything I fear is smaller than it feels. Rest here a moment. Breathe in and rise. Breathe out and look down with kind, clear eyes on the small, bright life that is yours to live today. Good. Meditation 5. Death as the thing that wakes you. We come now to an idea that sounds dark, and is, in truth, one of the most life-giving the Stoics ever offered. It is the practice the Romans called Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. We tend to flinch from it. The Stoics leaned into it every morning on purpose, because they found that nothing sharpens a life like the honest knowledge that it ends. Marcus wrote it plainly in Book 2 of the Meditations, George Long's translation. Since it is possible that thou mayest depart from life this very moment, regulate every act and thought accordingly. And listen to how Seneca put it in his letters to Lucilius, in the public domain translation of Richard Gummere. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's account every day. The greatest flaw in life is that it is always imperfect, and that a certain part of it is postponed. Postpone nothing. That is the whole teaching in 2 words. Most of us live as though we had an unlimited supply of mornings, as though there would always be time later to do the thing that matters, to say the words we mean, to become the person we intend to be. And so we spend our days on what is merely urgent and defer what is actually important, telling ourselves there will be a better moment. Seneca's point is brutal and kind at once. There may not be. The only morning you are sure of is the one you are in. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to wake you. Think of how vivid life becomes when you truly grasp that it is finite. The ordinary things, the warmth of the light through the window, the face of someone you love, the simple privilege of having work to do and a body to do it with, stop being background and become almost unbearably precious. The Stoics did not contemplate death to grow morbid. They contemplated it to grow grateful and to grow decisive. A man who knows he will die wastes less time on resentment. He forgives faster because he can see that the grudge is not worth the hours. He says the kind thing now because there may be no later. He does his real work today because today is what he has. So let Memento Mori be fuel this morning, not a shadow. Let it press gently on you all day as a question. If this were among my last mornings, and one of them will be, would I really spend it like this? Would I waste an hour of it on a quarrel that does not matter? Would I leave the important thing undone again? The knowledge that life ends is not the enemy of joy. It is the thing that makes joy urgent. It strips away the trivial and leaves you holding what is real. Seneca had a sharp way of cutting through our illusions about time. We act, he said, as if we will live forever, and we are stingy with our money, but absurdly wasteful with our days, guarding our coins while letting whole afternoons slip through our fingers on things we will not even remember. We would never give a stranger a handful of our savings, yet we hand out our irreplaceable hours to worry, to grievance, to distraction, to the endless small scrolling that fills a life without ever feeding it. And the strange thing, he observed, is that no one will give those hours back. Lost money can be earned again. Lost time is simply gone. Of all the things a person can be careless with, time is the one loss that can never be repaired. And it is the one we treat most carelessly of all. You are alive this morning. That is not a small thing or a permanent thing. It is an extraordinary, temporary gift. And the right response to a gift like that is not to squander it, but to use it well, today, while it is in your hands. Carry this with you, because my time is limited. I will not postpone the life I actually mean to live. Pause now, gently. Breathe in the fact that you are here, breathing, this morning. And breathe out, with quiet gratitude that the day is still ahead of you, unspent. Good. Meditation 6. Do the work and let the praise go. Here is a temptation so ordinary we rarely notice it running our lives, the need to be seen. We do good work, and we wait for someone to applaud it. We help, and we hope it will be noticed. We hold ourselves back from the thing we know is right, because no one is watching, and it would not count. Marcus Aurelius wrestled with this constantly, an emperor, surrounded by people whose whole job was to praise him. And his answer is one of the cleanest in all the Meditations. Book 5, George Long's translation. Labor not as one who is wretched, nor yet as one who would be pitied or admired, but direct thy will to one thing only, to put thyself in motion and to check thyself as the social reason requires. And a little further, in the same book, he gives the image that has outlasted 20 centuries. When thou hast done a good act, and another has received it, why dost thou still look for a third thing besides these, as fools do, either to have the reputation of having done a good act, or to obtain a return? A man who has done a good thing, Marcus says elsewhere in this same passage, does not go shouting about it. He is like a vine that has produced grapes, and looks for nothing more, having borne its fruit in its season. The vine does not need applause to make grapes. It makes grapes because that is what a vine is. And a good person, the Stoics taught, does good because that is what a good person is. Not as a transaction, not as a performance, but as the natural fruit of his own character. Think about how much of your energy on an ordinary day leaks out toward the audience. The small adjustments you make so others will think well of you. The deflation you feel when good work goes unnoticed. The way a task can feel pointless the moment you realize no one will know you did it. None of this makes you bad. It makes you human. But it does make you dependent. If you can only act well when someone is watching, then your goodness is on a leash held by other people, and they can yank it whenever they like. The Stoic wants his virtue off the leash. He wants to be the kind of person who does the right thing in an empty room, who finishes the work well even when no one will ever see the difference, who helps and walks away without waiting for the thank you. There is a deep and quiet freedom in this. When you stop needing the applause, an enormous amount of anxiety simply drains out of your work. You are no longer performing, you are simply doing. You are no longer auditioning for approval, you are just being who you have decided to be. The work gets better too, because your attention is finally on the work itself, rather than on the imagined reaction to it. So today, do at least one good thing that no one will know about. Finish something well that will never be inspected. Help someone without mentioning it. Hold yourself to your own standard in a moment when no standard is being enforced. And when you notice yourself reaching for the praise, waiting for the credit, deflated by the silence, gently bring your attention back to the only thing that was ever yours. The act itself, done well, for its own sake. The grapes do not need the applause. Bear your fruit and move on to the next thing. Carry this with you. I will do the work well for its own sake, and let the credit fall where it falls. Take a breath here. Breathe in and feel how much lighter it is to do a thing simply because it is right. Breathe out and set down the need to be noticed. Good. Meditation 7. Meeting difficult people. We began this hour with Marcus preparing himself, at dawn, to meet the difficult people of his day. Let us return to that ground now, because few things will test your morning's resolve faster than another human being. You can wake with the calmest intentions, and then one person, sharp, ungrateful, obstinate, unfair, can undo all of it in 30 seconds, if you let them. The Stoics thought hard about this, because they lived among difficult people too, and the city of Rome was not gentle. Here is Marcus again. Book 2, George Long's translation, the very passage we opened with. But now hear the turn at the end of it. I can neither be injured by any of them, for no one can fix on me what is ugly, nor can I be angry with my kinsman, nor hate him. For we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another, then, is contrary to nature, and it is acting against one another to be vexed and to turn away. Look at what he refuses. He refuses to be injured, because he sees that another person's rudeness damages their character, not his. And he refuses to hate, because he sees the other person as kin, as part of the same human whole, a hand to his hand. He does not pretend the difficult person is pleasant. He simply declines to let them pull him down into being difficult himself. There is a second move the Stoics make with difficult people, and it is one of the most quietly merciful ideas in all their writing. They believed that no one does wrong on purpose, in the sense that no one wakes up trying to be the villain of their own story. People act badly out of confusion, out of fear, ignorance, pain, a distorted idea of what is good for them. The person who cuts you off, who snaps at you, who takes credit that is not theirs, is acting on some twisted version of self-interest, some story in which their behavior makes sense. They are, as Marcus says, ignorant of what is truly good. And you cannot be furious at ignorance in the same way you are furious at malice. You can correct it, resist it, set a boundary against it, but from a place of steadiness rather than rage. So here is your practice for the people you will meet today. When someone is difficult, first remember, their behavior reveals their character, not yours. They cannot make you ugly. Only you can do that by responding in kind. Second, look for the confusion behind the offense. What fear or what mistaken idea might be driving this person? You will rarely know for certain, but the act of looking softens you, and a softened mind makes far better decisions than a furious one. And third, decide in advance, right now, while it is still quiet, that you will not hand your morning's peace to a stranger's bad moment. You spent this hour building something steady. Do not let one rude person spend it for you. There is one more thought the Stoics offer here, and it is bracing. When someone wrongs you, Marcus reminds himself, the harm they do to their own character is far greater than any harm they do to you. The person who lies has damaged himself far more than he has damaged the one he lied to. He has made himself a liar, and he has to live inside that for the rest of his days. The person who acts cruelly carries the cruelty home with him. You, if you respond well, carry nothing. Seen this way, the difficult person is less an enemy than someone to be pitied. They are doing real injury, but mostly to themselves, and they cannot even see it. This is not a license to feel superior. It is a way to stop feeling threatened. You do not need to win against a person who is already losing the only contest that matters, the contest for their own character. You only need to keep yours clean. This does not mean you become a doormat. Marcus ruled an empire. He set firm limits, made hard judgments, removed people who needed removing. Steadiness is not weakness. It is the strength to act rightly toward difficult people without being dragged down to their condition. You can be perfectly kind and perfectly immovable at the same time. In fact, the calm person is far harder to manipulate than the angry one. Carry this with you. Another person's behavior is theirs. My response is mine, and I will keep it clean. Let us pause and prepare for them now. Breathe in and picture the most difficult person you may meet today. Breathe out and let your jaw soften, your shoulders drop. You can meet them without becoming them. Good. Meditation 8, the Inner Citadel. There is a place inside you that nothing in the outside world can reach unless you open the gate yourself. The Stoics called it, in effect, your ruling faculty, your governing mind. And Marcus returned to it so often that later readers gave it a name. The Inner Citadel. A fortress at the center of you, where your character lives, and into which no insult, no loss, no misfortune can force its way without your permission. Marcus wrote, in Book 8 of the Meditations, George Long's translation, "Things cannot touch the soul, for they are external and remain immovable. But our perturbations come only from the opinion which is within." And in Book 4, perhaps the most consoling line he ever set down. Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, seashores and mountains, and thou too art wont to desire such things very much. But this is altogether a mark of the most common sort of men, for it is in thy power whenever thou shalt choose to retire into thyself. For nowhere, either with more quiet or more freedom from trouble, does a man retire than into his own soul. Sit with what he is saying. You do not need to escape to a quiet shore to find peace, because the quietest place there is already inside you, and it is available at any moment of any day. In the middle of the loudest, most chaotic hour you will face, you can step, instantly, without moving a muscle, into the still center of yourself. The world cannot follow you in there. It can take your possessions, your comfort, your plans, even your good name in the eyes of others. But it cannot take your character without your consent. No one can make you cruel. No one can make you dishonest. No one can make you small. Those choices happen only in the Citadel, and you alone hold the keys. This is the deepest source of Stoic calm. Most people are afraid because they believe their well-being lives outside them, scattered across 100 things other people control, and so they are always, in a sense, at the mercy of the world. The Stoic moves the seat of his well-being inside, into the one place that cannot be invaded. Once your peace depends on your own character rather than on external events, you become remarkably hard to disturb. What can the day do to a person whose core is not for sale? It can make things difficult. It cannot make him bad. And being good was the only thing he truly needed to protect. It is worth being precise about what the Citadel is and is not, because it is easy to mistake it for mere detachment, a cold wall thrown up against the world. That is not what Marcus describes. The man who wrote about the Inner Citadel was not a hermit. He was an emperor at war, surrounded by plague, betrayal, and endless administrative weight, and he engaged with all of it fully. The Citadel did not make him absent from his life. It made him present in it, without being swept away by it. The walls do not keep the world out. They keep your character in. You still feel the cold of the morning, the sting of the loss, the pull of the difficult hour. The Stoic isn't numb. But there is a part of you, the deepest part, the part that decides who you will be, that remains sovereign. The storm reaches the courtyard. It doesn't reach the keep. Notice, too, the freedom Marcus offers. You can retire into yourself whenever you choose, not once a year on a vacation, not someday when life finally calms down. Now, and now, and now, as often as you need it, all through the day. A few breaths, a moment of turning inward, a quiet return to the question of who you mean to be, and you are back inside the walls. The retreat is always open. It travels with you. You carry your sanctuary on the inside, which means you are never actually far from rest, no matter how loud the morning becomes. So today, build the habit of stepping inside. When the day presses hard against you, when the noise rises and the demands pile up and you feel your steadiness slipping, pause and retire for one moment into the Citadel. Remember that the thing pressing on you is outside the walls and that your character is safe within them. Ask, can this actually touch who I am, or only what happens to me? Almost always, it can only touch what happens to you, and what happens to you was never the part that mattered most. Then return to the day from that still center, with your peace intact, because you never handed it away. Carry this with you. No one can harm my character without my consent, and I do not consent. Let us go inside now, just for a breath. Breathe in and step through the gate. Breathe out into the stillness at your center that nothing today can reach. Good. Meditation 9. Gratitude at dawn. Of all the ways to begin a day, the Stoics would have us begin with gratitude. Not the sugary kind that ignores hardship, but a clear-eyed, almost defiant gratitude that looks honestly at life and chooses to be thankful anyway. Marcus opens the entire Meditations this way. The whole of Book 1 is a long, patient list of thanks to his grandfather, his father, his mother, his teachers, his friends, the gods, for everything they gave him and everything they taught him. The most powerful man in the world began his private notebook, not with grievances or ambitions, but by counting what he had been given. Listen to Marcus, Book 1, George Long's translation. near the close of that long catalogue of thanks. To the gods, I am indebted for having good grandfathers, good parents, a good sister, good teachers, good associates, good kinsmen and friends, nearly everything good. And here Seneca, in his letters, in Gummere's public domain translation, on the foolishness of always reaching past what we already have. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. There is a quiet revolution in beginning the day grateful. Our minds are built to scan for what is missing. It is an old survival instinct, this restless searching for the threat, the gap, the thing not yet fixed. Left unchecked, it means we live perpetually in a state of lack, always one acquisition away from being content, forever poor in the middle of plenty. Gratitude is the deliberate correction. It is the practice of turning the mind, on purpose, toward what is already here, and discovering, when you actually look, that it is a great deal. You woke this morning. Not everyone who went to sleep last night did. Your body, whatever its aches, carried you into another day. There is light coming up over the world. There is air to breathe freely without thought. Somewhere in your life, there is at least one person who would be glad to know you are well. You have, in this very moment, the rare luxury of an hour to think about how to live. A luxury that most human beings across most of history could scarcely have imagined. None of this is guaranteed. All of it is gift. And the simple act of seeing it as gift, even for a moment, changes the texture of the whole day that follows. So before the day fills with its demands, take inventory of what is already good. Not to deny what is hard, the Stoics never asked us to lie to ourselves, but to weight the scales correctly, because our anxious minds weight them so badly. For every problem your mind hands you this morning, find one thing that is genuinely, simply good, and let it have equal time. Name 3 things, right now, that you would miss terribly if they were gone, and notice that you have them. That is wealth. The Stoic is rich, not because he has the most, but because he has stopped craving what he lacks long enough to enjoy what he holds. Carry this with you. I begin the day already given more than enough, and I will not be too busy to notice. Let gratitude settle now. Breathe in, slowly, and feel the simple gift of the breath itself. Breathe out, and silently give thanks for one good thing that is true right now. Good. Meditation 10. The discipline of this present moment. We end where the Stoics always end, because it is the ground beneath all the rest. The present moment. Everything we have said this hour, meeting the day as it is, governing your response, retiring into the citadel, living as though time were precious. All of it comes home to a single point, the only point that ever actually exists. Now, this breath, this task, this is the whole of life, arriving one moment at a time, and the entire discipline of a good life is the discipline of being fully here for it. Marcus said it in many ways. Here is one of the most beautiful, Book 3 of the Meditations, George Long's translation. Do every act of thy life as if it were the last. And here, the heart of it, also from Marcus, on the strange truth that the present is all anyone ever loses or owns. Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone, or not yet revealed. Think about how rarely we are actually present. We eat breakfast while reading about something else. We walk to work while replaying yesterday or rehearsing tomorrow. We hold conversations with half our attention while the other half scrolls through worry. We are physically in the present and mentally almost everywhere else. And so the moment, the only place life ever happens, passes by largely unattended. We are like people standing in a beautiful room with our eyes closed, complaining that we cannot find anything worth seeing. The discipline of the present is the practice of opening your eyes. It is the deliberate, repeated act of bringing your whole attention back to the thing actually in front of you. The task, the person, the breath, the sensation of the morning. Not because the present is always pleasant. Sometimes it is hard. But because the present is real, and the past and future where the mind loves to wander are not. You cannot act in the past. You cannot live in the future. The only place you can ever do anything good, feel anything real, or be the person you want to be, is here in the fleeting instant Marcus pointed to. To miss the present is to miss your life, since your life is made of nothing else. And notice the gift hidden inside this. If life is only ever this moment, then you are never required to live the whole of it at once. You do not have to be patient for a lifetime. You only have to be patient now. You do not have to be courageous forever, only in this moment that asks for courage. You do not have to fix everything. You have only to meet the single task in front of you with your full attention. The discipline of the present makes life livable precisely because it cuts the impossible whole down to the manageable now. One moment, met well, and then the next. That is all a good life ever was. So let this be the thread that runs through your entire day. Whenever you notice your mind has wandered off into the replayed argument, the imagined disaster, the 1,000 absent things, simply bring it back. Back to the breath, back to the hands, back to the work, back to the face in front of you. You will have to do this 100 times today, and that is not failure. That is the practice. Each return is a small act of the discipline that the greatest minds of Rome considered the foundation of everything. Be here. Do the thing in front of you as though it mattered, because it does. And when it is done, be here for the next one. Carry this with you. My life is happening now, in this moment, and I will not miss it by being somewhere else. Let us be fully here, one last time. Breathe in all the way and arrive completely in this moment. Breathe out and let everything that is not now fall quietly away. There is only this, and this is enough. Good. The close. Carrying it into the day. And so we come to the end of the hour, with the day now fully open in front of you. Look at what you have done this morning. While most of the world stumbled straight into the noise, you stopped at the threshold and built something. A steadier mind, a clearer eye, a set of tools you can carry into every hour that follows. You didn't do it to escape the day. You did it to be ready for it. Let us gather what we have, simply, so it goes with you. The day is enough, and you only have to meet it one moment at a time. Some things are in your power, and most are not, and your peace lives entirely in knowing the difference. Between what happens and what you do, there is a space, and in that space, you are free. Seen from high enough, almost everything you fear is smaller than it feels. Your time is limited, and that is exactly why you will not waste it. You will do your work well for its own sake. You will meet difficult people without becoming difficult yourself. No one can touch your character without your consent. You begin the day already given more than enough, and your life is happening now, only now. So you will be here for it. You will not remember all of that today. You do not need to. Let just one of these thoughts stay with you, whichever one reached you most, and let it be the hand on your shoulder through the hours ahead. When the morning gets loud, it will be there. When someone tests you, when a plan breaks, When the old, anxious sprint of the mind starts up again, you will have somewhere steady to return to. That is what this hour was for. So set your intention now, plainly, as the Stoics would. Today, I will meet whatever comes with a clear and unshakable mind. I will act where I can and release what I cannot. I will be present for my own life. And whatever the day brings, I will come back, again and again, to the still center that is mine and cannot be taken. Marcus Aurelius, who gave us so much of this hour, wrote one more line worth carrying out the door. From Book 5 of the Meditations, George Long's translation, "At day's first light have in readiness, against disinclination to leave your bed, the thought that, I am rising for the work of man." You are rising for the work of a human being, for the ordinary, dignified, demanding work of living one good day. Well, that is the whole of it. Not the year, not the rest of your life. Just this day, met with the clearest mind you can bring to it. The hour is over. The light is up. Your mind is ready. Take one last slow breath with me. In gently, and out. Now rise and go meet your day. It is a good one to be alive in.